The mealworm experiment has been going for 4 years now, and this film covers the third generation. So I'd had my fishing bait mealworms produce beetles, and I was now going onwards. The first thing you will notice is that we've changed from plastic, which I believe was causing the moisture problems, and we've changed to wood. And these were boxes that we designed and made out of fruit crate wood, and we wanted a free circulation of air in them, so we used some old mosquito netting for the tops. Now, the only changes we've made from these since, apart from what you'll see in the next film, is that the problem with the top was that mice could get in. So when I put them out in the summer months, when it was warm enough to put them out in the greenhouses, we did have a mouse attack, and they ate all the mealworms in one box. So from then on, I stacked my boxes and I put a metal grating on the top so that the mice couldn't get in, but there could still be air flowing through all of them, and this has worked really well. It was in July, the beginning of July, that I started my mealworm farm, and the first ones only gave me a very few beetles and very few worms. In fact, I didn't even notice that they had developed. I was so fed up that I thought nothing had happened, and I ignored them for a couple of months until one day I just noticed the beetles appearing. So what it seems to be is that from those few beetles that came from the first mealworms that I had, my fishing bait mealworms, the next generation were pretty prolific. As you can see, I've got a lot of mealworms now, and these are they're just starting to pupate. You can see this is why they're sort of lying in a rather comatose sort of state, is because they're getting ready to pupate. There's a lot of them. They probably need, in fact, I am getting ready to move them to another box. But they've been so successful here that I didn't want to disturb them. And another reason is this is a good dry environment for them. I know they need levels of moisture, but you have to negotiate that, and you have to balance it with the fact that you don't want to get grain mites. And I have had grain mites in my box which has the beetles in, and that I think is because I was cutting the pieces of apple too thickly. The beetles seem to really like the cabbages, and so I gave them quite a lot of that, and I think that caused moisture in their box. And at one point I noticed that they had these mites. Here we have the grain mites, and I filmed these through a microscope, just it was a little toy microscope, but it worked, just one we picked up in the supermarket. And these mites are actually spiders. They've got 8 legs in their adult version. They're very quick. I think it's about 9 days to develop from egg to adulthood, and each female is thought to be capable of laying 800 eggs in her lifetime. So as you can see, they can become a bit of a problem. They do need moisture, so they're usually found in grain that has moisture in it. I've changed my mind about these mites as I've done more and more research, and that will be in the part 3 of this film. But for the moment, I was concerned that I had too many of them. But certainly I've never found any in here, and I think it's because I cut the apples very thinly, and because there's so many of them, they quickly consume them. You can see these are the last ones I put in a few days ago, and they've totally eaten them. In fact, these ones are just skin, that's all that's left. And I didn't give them as much cabbage because they've got these little, they're like pig houses that they put for free range pigs, which I just made them out of half toilet rolls. That's all they are. Very simple. The other thing they love, and I don't know why, is I was given some gluten-free organic biscuits. They'd gone by the sell-by date. My friends who have an organic shop gave them to us. And the chickens are okay with them, but they're not that bothered. But the mealworms love them, so they've been eating them. You can see I've got a little beetle hatched here. The mealworms, seemingly, looking at them, are quite as large as the original ones, some of them. Some of them are a bit smaller, and they are different colours as well. I do have some white ones, as well as these fawn gold-coloured ones. But I have to say that the chickens and quails have eaten a lot of them already, so this is just what's left, and there's a lot. They like living under the paper as well. So I put this paper in, and they seem to like to. Sorry, disturbing you lads. They seem to love living in underneath the paper. They like that. What I'm feeding them on now, and again, this is part of me being worried about the level of potential grain mites in there, is that I've been putting both the bran and the 5 cereals that I give them in the freezer first to kill off any mites that could potentially be in it. So that's another thing that I've done, and it seems to have worked as well.